Hi, welcome, enjoy the contents, subscribe and turn on notifications.
The moment she hugged me, I knew, my wife had slept with someone else. You don't forget the way someone used to hold you, and you don't miss it unless it's gone. I hadn't seen my wife in 3 weeks. Work had me in Los Angeles, finalizing a software upgrade for a major hospital contract. Every night over there, I'd scroll through our old photos, and text her good night even when she didn't reply. I missed her, deeply. The distance made me realize how much I needed her warmth. Her laugh. Even the way she leaves cabinet doors open when she's rushing. So when I landed back in Dallas, my heart was full. I was nervous, excited. I even bought her a little bracelet at LAX, something gold, simple, with her name etched inside, Leah. She was waiting at the terminal. I spotted her before she saw me. She looked beautiful, jeans, white shirt, hair pulled back. But there was something off. Her smile came late. Forced. I dropped my bags and hugged her tight, but she hugged like a stranger. You know how someone squeezes you when they missed you? She didn't do that. We walked to the car in silence, and I kept trying to fill the gap. How's work been? You still watching Grey's Anatomy without me? I've missed you like crazy. She gave short answers. Work's fine. Haven't had time to watch. Same here. Same here. We used to talk about everything. Now, I couldn't even get her to ask how my flight was. When we got home, the house felt different. Colder. Her scent had changed, new perfume. Not the vanilla one I loved. She noticed me noticing. Oh, just something new I tried, she said, avoiding eye contact. Then I noticed her wrist was bare. The anniversary bracelet I got her last year was gone. That bracelet meant something to her, or at least, it used to. I smiled, pretending not to notice. I handed her the new bracelet I bought. She said, thanks, and put it down on the kitchen counter like it was a receipt. Dinner that night? I suggested we eat out. Her favorite restaurant, the Rustic. She said she wasn't in the mood. Said she had a long day, and maybe we could order in. By 9 p.m., she said she was tired and went to bed. No cuddles. No kisses. Just a cold good night. I stayed in the living room, alone on the couch, listening to the air conditioning hum like a lullaby to my worst fears. I didn't want to believe it. But something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong it truly was. It was Sunday morning. I woke up to the sound of the shower running, but Leah wasn't singing like she used to. It was just silence and water. When she came out wrapped in a towel, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She quickly picked it up and flipped it face down. That was the third time she'd done that in 2 days. I wasn't trying to be suspicious, I was trying to trust. But every quiet moment between us started screaming louder than words. Later that afternoon, I took out the trash and noticed her car wasn't in the driveway. She hadn't said she was going anywhere. I called her. No answer. She came home an hour later, dressed differently than she was in the morning. Where'd you go? I asked casually. Oh, just out to grab some groceries, she replied, but the bags she carried in were from a boutique, not the grocery store. I kept quiet. But my chest was heavy. That night, while she was asleep, I remembered something, her iPad. It was still connected to her iCloud. I opened it and went straight to FaceTime history. My heart dropped. There were several calls to a contact saved as JC, each lasting longer than the last. Some over an hour. Mostly late at night, when I was still in LA. I stared at the initials and suddenly remembered, Jason Carter. Her old college fling. The guy she once told me was just a phase. I didn't sleep that night. On Monday, I called in sick to work. Leah left the house around 6:30 p.m., saying she had a property showing in Plano. But something told me that wasn't the truth. I waited 10 minutes and followed her. She drove across town, parked near a luxury gym called Exclusive Fit, and walked in. 30 minutes passed. Then he showed up, Jason. Tall. Fit. Confident. The type of guy you hate for being everything you're not in a moment like this. They met just outside the gym, laughed, hugged like it wasn't their first time. She touched his arm, too familiar, too soft. Then he opened his car door, and she got in. I didn't follow them. I couldn't. I drove home, numb, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing holding me together. That night, Leah came home late. Said her client took longer than expected. I just nodded. But something inside me had cracked wide open. And for the first time in my life, I felt like a stranger in my own marriage. I spent the next few days acting normal, if you could call breathing through pain normal. Every smile I gave her was fake. Every kiss on her forehead was forced. But I needed proof. Not just for me, but to bury the last bit of hope, whispering, maybe you're wrong. So I did something I never thought I would. I bought a $39 motion sensor camera from Best Buy and set it up in the living room, tucked neatly behind the plant stand. Then I told Leah I had an overnight site visit in Houston. She didn't even hesitate. Drive safe, she said with a smile, the most genuine smile I'd seen in weeks. That alone hurt worse than anything else. I parked down the street that night and waited. At exactly 8:42 p.m., Jason walked into my home. She let him in like she was letting in her husband. They laughed. She poured wine. They sat close on the couch, and then I couldn't watch anymore. I left. I couldn't sit in my own car, 2 blocks away from my life collapsing on camera. The next morning, I walked into the house like nothing happened. Leah was in the kitchen making coffee. How was the trip? She asked. I didn't answer. I placed the iPad in front of her and hit play. Silence. At first, she just watched, stone cold. Then her face cracked. Her lips started trembling. She reached for me. Marcus. I pulled my hand away. Just tell me how long it's been, I asked, my voice lower than I'd ever heard it. She looked down. 2 months, maybe longer. I don't even know anymore. I felt like vomiting. You don't know. I said. You lost track of how long you've been destroying our marriage. She started crying, blaming the distance, saying how lonely she was, how Jason made her feel alive. And then she said something I'll never forget. I didn't mean to fall for him. But you were always, somewhere else. That was the final bullet. I picked up my suitcase, looked around at what used to be our home, and said. You didn't fall for him, Leah. You jumped. With both feet. Then I left. Sometimes the people who promise forever are only meant for a season. I thought coming home would heal us, but I didn't know I was walking into the final chapter. She picked me up from the airport after 3 weeks, but I didn't know that would be the ride that ended us.